Please welcome to the stage your host this evening from ABC Radio Canberra, Ross Solly.
Thank you everyone, thank you and welcome and thank you for joining us here. My name is Ross Solly, I present the breakfast show here on ABC Radio Canberra and it is my great pleasure to be your host this evening here at Gandel Hall in the National Gallery of Australia. I've been locked in to do this job for a long time, long before nominations closed, in fact, for this year's Australian of the Year, which was a little bit disconcerting, but I think that underlines the standing I have in the community here. Andrew Barr promised me that he would nominate me this year, but it never eventuated, so there you go. Whether you are here with us in the room or you're watching online at australianoftheyear.org.au, welcome. I would assume that we've got a big audience right around the country tonight. In fact, I would imagine we have a big international audience as well. People who are just looking in, trying to understand how come we have so many bloody awesome Australians here and how come we have so many here in the ACT. And we're going to meet some of them tonight. And I think you will leave this room very, very impressed. You're in for a great celebration of some incredible people, and we would like you to show your support on social media using the hashtag Oz of the Year. That is Oz of the Year, not Oz of the Year 67, which apparently is a rogue hashtag, which nobody understands, even the people who are using it. So it's hashtag Oz of the Year. Right across the country, each state and territory is coming together over these few weeks to celebrate the Australian of the Year Awards, moments that honour extraordinary achievement. And tonight, we're going to hear some powerful stories of courage, compassion, resilience and hope from everyday Australians who have been doing remarkable things. I'd like to welcome all the nominees and, just as importantly, your family, your friends and your guests tonight. I'm sure we'll all be inspired by your commitment and your achievements for others. I'd like to also welcome our dignitaries joining us this evening, among them Andrew Barr, the ACT Chief Minister, Mr Andrew Braddock, the Acting Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, Mr David Smith MP on behalf of the Honourable Patrick Gorman MP, members of the ACT Legislative Assembly, Mr John Foreman AM, the Chair of the National Australia Day Council, board members of the National Australia Day Council, although I'm told none of them are bored, they absolutely love their job, but they are all board members of the National Australia Day Council. I'd now like to invite Violet Sheridan, Ngunnawal Elder, to officially welcome us to country.
Thank you. Seeing that you mentioned all the important people here, I won't repeat it, but I will acknowledge our Chief Minister, Andrew Barr, and David Smith, member for Bean, and John Foreman, one of my favourites. But it is my pleasure to be here at the Australia Day Awards for 2026 and reflect, respect, celebrate and congratulate all those that have been nominated. I wish you all the best. I have my couple of favourites there, but I'm not going to mention it. So I stand here in this place where my ancestors before me. I am a proud Ngunnawal woman, as I carry my ancestors in spirit, walking into the future, teaching the next generations about the oldest culture in the world, my culture, the Aboriginal culture. I'd like to pay my respects to my elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to First Nations people here this evening, but I'd also like to extend that respect to the non-Indigenous people here as well. In keeping in the general spirit of friendship and reconciliation, it gives me great pleasure once again to welcome you to my mother's country. My father is a Wiradjuri man, but I follow my matriarch's bloodline. And on behalf of my family and the other Ngunnawal families, I say welcome to you all, and another big congratulations to all the nominees, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie Violet, for that warm welcome to country. And unfortunately, I think you've just ruled yourself out of being on the judging panel for next year's Australian of the Year. But he has no influence anymore. I'd now like to invite, and sorry for people watching around Australia who have no idea what we're talking about, but it's just an in-joke. I'd now like to invite Sally Davis to the stage, and I would like to please ask everyone to stand, if you're able, for the national anthem. Sally.
Oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains and let us sing, advance Australia fair. Beneath our radiant Southern Cross, we'll toil with hearts and hands to make this commonwealth of ours renowned of all the lands. For those who've come across the seas, we've boundless plains to share. With courage let us all combine to advance Australia fair. In joyful strains and let us sing, advance Australia
Wow. And I can give you a live update. I'm just keeping a track on this. Already, thanks to Auntie Violet and Sally, we are tracking to be the best Australian of the Year awards in the country so far. Already. I'm pleased to say that this year, once again, thousands of nominations were received from the public, nominating somebody who inspires them. After a very difficult shortlisting process, the 16 incredible nominees here tonight were selected by a diverse selection panel of people from across the ACT. You're going to hear and see all their stories tonight, with one recipient being announced in each of the 4 categories. And those 4 categories are Australia's Local Hero, our Young Australian of the Year, our Senior Australian of the Year, and the Australian of the Year. These 4 recipients will then join the other state and territory recipients at the National Awards, where the Prime Minister will reveal who takes out the National Award. It will be live on ABC TV and ABC Radio on the eve of Australia Day. Our nominees representing the ACT this year could all win. There are people in this audience, in fact, who won last year on the national stage, and we thank them for their inspiration, their contribution, and their excellence. Let's give them a huge round of applause. Before we get into the awards, I'd like to invite Mr. John Foreman AM, Chair of the National Australia Day Council, to say a few words.
Thank you, Ross. Chief Minister Andrew Barr, members of the Legislative Assembly, the federal member for Bean, David Smith, and also the ACT carryover champion, the ACT Australian of the Year, Megan Gilmore, our ACT Senior Australians of the Year for 2025, Peter and Marilyn Ralston. Our Young Australian for the Year for ACT for 2025, Daniel Bartholomeus, also TV star on the Assembly, absolutely brilliant on that, on the ABC of course. And our local heroes for ACT and for Australia, Vanessa Brattel and Hannah Costello. Welcome to all of you, distinguished guests, and of course to our very special distinguished guests this evening, our nominees for the 2026 awards. Thank you, Auntie Violet, for that wonderful welcome to country. I acknowledge you, I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and waterways upon which we meet, and extend that respect to elders past and present. I'm not able to nominate people, Ross, for these awards. It would be a conflict of interest, but I think we'll just keep pushing this because you're an outstanding Australian, and you know, I see no reason why not. We are here tonight to celebrate. It's a fantastic, really fantastic night, and I'm so thrilled everyone's here. I just want to say a few words to our nominees tonight. It is a bit nerve-wracking at this point in the evening because really we don't know what's going to happen. But as Ross said, you are here because somebody nominated you. Then you were shortlisted. Then a panel of your peers looked at your stories and decided these are the stories that we want to hear about tonight. Whether you take out the award or not, there's that extra step. Tonight, all 16 of your stories will be heard. And that's really important because we are here to celebrate you as individuals. As Ross said, you know, your family and friends are here too, and that's important because your family and friends get to see you and hear you being celebrated by your community. But there is another element to this as well. So I imagine for most, if not all of you, there was probably a moment in your life or someone in your life who inspired you to be who you are and to do what you're doing, whether it was a teacher or a family member or a friend or someone in the community. And we're celebrating what you have achieved and what you do for your community, but we're also celebrating the characteristics that underpin and motivate those things that you've done. Humility, empathy, compassion, tenacity, whatever the word is, tenacity, you know what I mean, determination, the ability to see a problem, identify a solution, and then take the steps necessary to put that solution into practice. All of those characteristics have resulted in the work that you've done. Now, why is this important? Because there's two reasons for tonight. One is, of course, to celebrate you, and the other is this element of inspiration. So you've all had inspiration at some point in your lives. Now you become the inspiration for everybody else in the room and for everybody watching us. And that's important because as we head towards January, we start to think about our national character. What does it mean to be Australian? It's a question that's often asked, and you think about how do you identify the answer to that? And it's really in our people and in the characteristics that we celebrate in our people. So when people tune into this and tune into the awards in January and see the tenacity and the determination and the compassion and the kindness and the willingness to help others at a subtle level and at a very powerful level, it helps to inform our national identity and our national character. So by your actions, you are helping to shape the narrative. And if you look back at the history of these awards over the last 65, 66 years, and think about the incredible people, you know, whether it's Cathy Freeman or our current Australian of the Year, Neil Danaher, the professors last year, Georgina Long and Richard Scolyer, I could go on and on and on, but you can see how each year the recipients of these awards have helped to shape the national narrative and helped to identify what it means to be Australian. So I want to thank you all very much for what you have done. And so to all of tonight's nominees, Bradley, Ben, Michael, Rafi, Howard, Liam, Sita, Anjali, Marion, Calvin, Heather, Adele, Sarah, Rose, Karen and Lauren. All of you have done incredible things. That applause is for all of you, because you're all important as individuals, and as a group you help us shape the national identity. So thank you all very much indeed.
Nobody likes to show off, John. But that is an incredible skill. My hat, that is, yeah. I thought when you remembered all the names of last year's winners, I thought, wow, that's impressive. And then you reel off, okay, all the people sitting in the second row, what's their name? No, thank you, John. Now, the reason we're here, and it's not to hear John showing us his incredible memory, it's actually time for our first Australian of the Year awards in the ACT. And this is in the category of Local Hero, recognising those who make a significant contribution in their local community. First, let's learn some more about this category, supported by the Department of Home Affairs.
Our local heroes are everyday Australians doing amazing things in their local communities. They represent what's great about communities. They keep their communities strong, and they are the fabric of our society.
It's not easy to just sit around and talk about the problems. I urge everyone, be kind and respectful. You too can be part of the change of the solution.
They'll tell you when we open our doors to our neighbors, we open our hearts, and we give ourselves the chance to rejoice with others, to learn from them.
Hey, it's Tony Burke, the Minister for Home Affairs. I just want to tell you why it's so important that we sponsor the Local Heroes Award. This award, people don't compete for it. People just do what they do. And I love when we recognise people who never sought recognition. There are people who are local heroes because they just very humbly go out and do jobs every day that show leadership through their work. There are people who are local heroes because they stand up for people who, when no one else is standing up for them. There are people who are local heroes because in a moment of crisis, they just step up without thinking about themselves and just helping others. But most importantly, everybody being awarded today did it because of their love of their community, love of their country, love of the people you are helping. And that is worthy of recognition.
The award not only acknowledges work done so far, but gives encouragement to continue, and that's important.
Rural people are worth fighting for because they get up and they show up in fire and flood and droughts and plagues and pandemics, and they put food on the nation's table. So the least we can do as a nation is make sure that they're getting support when they look for it.
Creating a home in Australia is not always easy. It's about providing opportunities, stability and hope to people who, just like us, just want a chance to make something of their lives.
Well, all four of our finalists in the Local Hero category well and truly fit the bill as described by Minister Tony Burke there. For our four nominees for the 2026 Local Hero in the ACT are
Ben Alexander. Ben Alexander co-founded Running for Resilience to help make Canberra suicide-free by 2033. Each week, he leads free community runs, podcasts and events that help people exercise, connect and get support. Drawing on his struggles after rugby, Ben is building a community where staying physically, mentally and socially healthy is something we do together. Bradley Butt. Bradley Butt is a community-based pharmacist who's making it easier for men to take an active interest in their urological health. Bradley founded the Men's Health Down Under program to provide men with advice and treatment for a range of urological conditions. The program now extends to a nationwide network of pharmacists who deliver expert, confidential advice to help men get the treatment they need. Michael Phelan. Michael Phelan is helping young people turn their lives around through the vocational skills program he established and runs at the Bimbury Youth Justice Centre. Alongside teaching hospitality skills to participants, he imparts valuable life skills, opening the way for further education and employment. Michael's mentoring is having a genuine impact in promoting social inclusion and is helping to reduce reoffending. Rafi Segroy. Rafi Segroy is committed to changing people's lives and building stronger communities through inclusion and diversity. She leads mentoring programs in the automotive workshop she runs with her husband Charlie, giving school students practical skills and workplace experiences. Rafi's compassion and ingenuity has provided opportunity for women, people living with neurodivergence and disabilities, and young people from disadvantaged backgrounds.
Well, who would like to try and pick a winner from that quartet? Could I please invite the Chief Minister, Andrew Barr, to the stage to present our nominees with their certificates. Our first nominee, Ben Alexander. Our second nominee, Bradley Butt. Our third nominee, Michael Phelan. And our fourth nominee for the ACT Local Hero of the Year, Rafi Segroy. So before we announce this year's winner, I'd like to invite to the stage, well, if you were here this time last year, at around this time, we announced that the ACT local heroes were Vanessa Brettle and Hannah Costello, and their story, I think, inspired all of us, so much so that they went on to become the national local heroes of 2025. Can you please welcome back to the stage Vanessa Brettle and Hannah Costello. How nice to see you both again. What's the last year been like for you?
It's been huge. It's been massive. Yeah, a very, very big year that we did not expect at all. It has brought so much to Stepping Stone and also to us personally. Yeah, I think probably next year is going to be even bigger than this year with the things that we've been able to achieve. So, yeah.
So were you able to use the recognition you got last year to further the cause?
Yeah, definitely. So we not only had more customers, we had more people coming to us to work with us, to share their skills, to be customers, but then we also had a lot more people coming and applying to work with us, and that really drove us to look how we can expand what we currently do and grow our business so that we can offer a range of diverse employment and training opportunities. So we're starting an urban farm, we're expanding our catering arm, and we're exploring a few other things too.
I think what caught all our attention last year was the way that you talked about the people that you work with and some of the struggles that they were facing. Has it got easier or is it harder, do you think?
For the people that we work with, I think, as everyone can see, we work with migrant and refugee women, and I think we'd all be kidding ourselves to think that their lives are getting any easier at the moment. I think seeing that and reflecting on that has driven us to really speak up for our community and the people that we work with and make sure that we can make them feel as welcome in Australia as they should be.
Ladies and gentlemen, our 2025 Australia Local Heroes. It must be a funny feeling to pass the baton on, but that time has come. Can you tell us who our 2026 local hero for the ACT is?
Yes, the 2026 ACT Local Hero Award goes to
Ben Alexander.
Ben, congratulations. First question I've got for you actually comes from a Jay Schmidt in France. Are you available to travel to France this weekend to play for the Wallabies?
No, my time's well and truly done.
I think they need you. When I came back to Canberra, Ben, one Wednesday afternoon I went for I'm going to call it a run around Lake Burley Griffin, but people who witnessed it said it was more of a shuffle. But I was making my way around Lake Burley Griffin, and this wave of people were coming towards me, and it was like a rugby scrum, but one after another, coming past me, and I thought, what is going on here? And I went on the radio the next day, and I said, can anyone explain what's going on a Wednesday evening with all these people running around the lake? And all these people texted and said, oh, that's Ben Alexander. And I thought, wow, and this is just one of the many, many things that you've instituted here in Canberra. Take us a step back to why you did all of this in the first place.
I didn't set out to do it. Well, it all just started because we just got a business, the pub at the foreshore, got an email asking if we'd host a one-off run for mental health. A young guy, Matt Breen, who was a nominee, I think, for Young Australian of the Year a few years back, he'd lost his dad to suicide, and his mum had just been diagnosed with terminal cancer. So he was going through a really rough patch, and I didn't know him, but I had really struggled when I first retired from sport, and parkrun had been like a godsend for me. Really helped me stay fit in retirement, but also helped me re-engage with my old friends that I'd sort of not lost touch with, but every Saturday going for a run, having a coffee, I'd gone from feeling pretty ordinary during the week to all of a sudden feeling like old Ben again. And so I knew how good this sort of running with your friends caper is, and wrote a thank you blog to Parkrun after I ran my 50th, and then Matt saw it and he emailed the doc asking if we'd host a one-off run, just one, for mental health, and we said, yeah, no worries, we'll shout everyone beer and pizza, thinking it was just a one-off thing. And yeah, about 20 people came and we did the run and having a feed, and we thought, yeah, this is good fun. Now the doc, we'll shout again next week. And then about 25 people came. Anyway, 6 years later, sort of getting nearly 1,000 a week now across our events across the week. But I felt very awkward when I got nominated for this, because there is a massive, massive, massive team behind Running for Resilience now. And I guess the thing I'm proudest of most that we're doing is not so much getting people active, but we're, through our newsletter and more with our podcast, is really trying to it's all right if you're going through a rough patch in life. We are all going to go through it. It is super normal. I bet everyone in here would. You lost, whether it's losing a parent or it is just a natural thing that we're all going to have to go through in life, and that's okay. You're not going to get judged for it. And so hopefully, reducing that stigma around if we're struggling, because I certainly sort of didn't open up. I asked my wife. It took a long time before I opened up and got help, and exercising with my friends and that sort of community, really played a huge part in my recovery. So it wasn't my transition in recovery. So there wasn't any grand plan when we started it. We just started doing something that was good. Me and Breeny and Shooter at the pub, we sort of really loved it. It was really helping us through our difficult transitions, and just seems to be helping others. So. Yeah.
And I guess, Ben, by putting yourself out there like this, you've also, whether you want to or not, you've become a bit of a sounding board, I guess, where people come up to you and start talking about their own struggles. How are you going with that? Because, you know, you're not a counsellor, I guess, but now you've put yourself out there as somebody who's been through it, and you're somebody that people come up and want to talk to about this.
Yeah, and we're really proud of our partnership with the Medicare Mental Health Centre. So if people come to Running for Resilience or they message us and they're in an acutely bad way, we refer them on to that triage service that will then connect them to the right professional support, because sort of our goal at Running for Resilience, if we want to eliminate suicide in Canberra, we feel we've got to connect every Canberran to the support they need. Some people might just need to do some movement with their friends regularly, and that's kind of what we're doing pretty well, but there's also people who need more than that, and that's well outside our lane. We're not professional services, we're not trained psychologists, but we're going to try and be a lighthouse, not a life raft or not a life vest. We will try and do that. Everything we're trying to do is to be a lighthouse on the people that can help. Because I know when I was in a super bad way, if I'd had to try and Google and try and find a psychologist, I wouldn't have gone, but I was really lucky. My old employer, the Brumbies, put me in touch with a sports psychologist who, she herself had been through this transition from sport and understood the neurochemical sort of rebalancing as you transition out of, a big part of your life. So that's, I can't remember what your question is, but that's kind of just waffling on.
Yeah, there's a fairly good chance it was a ridiculous question anyway. As you heard from Hannah and Vanessa, winning this award does give you a platform. It gives you a louder voice. How would you like to use that, Ben? I know you're only just learning you've got the award now, but how would you like to use this platform now over the next year to try and raise awareness, to take it to the next level?
Yeah, I can't come back next week with an answer. A very well thought out answer.
You can't phone a friend either.
Nah.
So.
Well, and I've always been mindful of Running for Resilience. As I said before, I come from a team sporting background. No one achieves anything in life. It is teams of people that achieve great things. And it's been a tricky balancing act for me, because I've tried, obviously, a little bit of a profile and tried to leverage it for Running for Resilience. But I really, what I'm going to try and do is hopefully use this award to try and obviously raise the profile of Running for Resilience, but kind of try and get back into the background, because there is just such a huge team, so many people doing amazing work. It is a bit of a balance I'm going to have to navigate, but I'm just so proud of everyone in our community that's, as Breeny was the first one to share that he was struggling, and then I feel like as I've shared mine more, and we had Lily shared her eating disorder, and there's been more and more people coming forward just sharing their struggle and how they got through it, and then hopefully other people can gain a bit of hope or inspiration from how that person dealt with that struggle, and they can apply it to their life. And then if they need just some people to stay active and connect with, come and run with us too. So or walk, or pickleball, or yoga. We've expanded beyond just running, because not everyone likes running, and my hip flexors are starting to get a bit tight from all the running. So we're trying to branch out into other sports.
Yeah. I guess what most people would want to know is, are you still shouting free beer and pizza?
It got to about 40 people, and Shooter and I were like, we can't keep shouting all this pizza, but we'll keep still shouting a beer. And then it got to about 150 people, and we're like, geez, we're going to need a sponsor. So we're lucky that a sponsor got involved, but we got morning runs, and it's not about the beer. It's about doing the run, and then when you get a drink into someone's hand after, something we've noticed, if you get something in their hand, whether it's a water or a coffee or a soft drink or a beer, people then stick around for another 15, 20 minutes and chat, and that's what Running for Resilience is all about. It is not about the running. It is about the catch-up after. And, you see some people, they come and they probably had a pretty stressful day at work and they're just a bit stressed, and then when they go and do the run, they're then, you see their shoulders drop and they feel a bit better, then you whack a drink in all their hands and then they connect. And that's where the magic happens. And, Canberra's, a lot of people come here not knowing anyone, and going for a run with someone, you're not going to become best friends with them after one run, but when you do some movement, there's just something about moving with people that I think brings people closer together. Sport's proven that over and over again.
Ladies and gentlemen, our ACT local hero of 2026, Ben Alexander. All right, let's now move on to the Young Australian of the Year category, and this is supported by the the Australian Government Office for Youth. This award was first introduced in 1979 and recognises inspiring young Australians aged between 16 and 30 who have already accomplished great things. Let's hear more about our young category from some of our past recipients.
When you look at the Young Australians of the Year, we're all reminded that our future is in really good hands.
I've been given the opportunity in such a beautiful country to be myself, and for me the most important thing is to help the next generation and also inspire them to be themselves and follow their dreams.
We have the power to shape the future and make Australia a place where we're all proud, where we all belong, and where we stand united.
I'm proud to congratulate our exceptional State and Territory Young Australian of the Year finalists for 2026. As Minister for Youth, I'm honoured to support and sponsor the Young Australian of the Year category in these national awards, where the wonderful accomplishments of our young people are in the spotlight. You are inspiring examples of dedication to making positive change, instilling hope for a better and brighter future. You clearly show that young people have so much to offer. Our young finalists are an inspiration to all Australians, and I hope others will see your hard work and choose to become more actively involved in their own communities too. I'm excited to see what's next for these incredible finalists, your contributions to our future, and your influence as amazing role models. I wish you nothing but success.
The Young Australians of the Year have a really impressive energy and a drive to make Australia a better place.
It is still crazy to me that I've done what I have in sport, and I want young kids to know that I was once in the same position that they are now, hoping and dreaming of one day of doing something big. I want to have an impact on people's lives by encouraging them to push hard and go after their dreams and what they're passionate about.
Representation matters. When kids, especially Indigenous kids, see someone like me in this position, it tells them that they belong.
And now, the nominees for the 2026 Young Australian of the Year in the ACT are...
Liam Adams. Liam Adams is a popular author, cartoonist and self-publisher whose Everyone Needs a Liam business is showcasing what people with autism and intellectual disabilities can accomplish in the creative arts. Liam's work combines humour and imagination to create compelling examples of personal self-expression. Liam is showing what can be achieved when difference is embraced and creativity is nurtured. Howard McLean. Howard McLean has helped drive reforms to Canberra's planning and zoning policies in his quest to make housing more affordable and sustainable. In leading the Missing Middle Canberra campaign, Howard's advocacy and community organising is having a meaningful impact on how the ACT government will tackle housing planning and development in the future. Seater Sargent. Seater Sargent is revealing a previously unwritten history in Australia by walking through it and telling the stories of women whose achievements have shaped Australia's past and present. Through the She Shapes History walking tours, digital content and book, Seater celebrates the often overlooked history of women's contributions to Australia's culture and urban environments. Anjali Sharma. Anjali Sharma is advocating for the Australian Government to recognise its duty of care to future generations in climate policy and to make intergenerational equity a core consideration in government decisions. Through grassroots efforts and lobbying, Anjali is bravely fighting to give young people the ability to enjoy the world in the same way that generations did before them.
You know, when I look back at what I achieved between the ages of 16 and 30, it was pretty bloody pathetic in retrospect. Went to the pub a lot and ate a lot of veal parmesanas, and that's about it. All right, I'd like to well, he's already here, the Chief Minister. See, this is how you become a Chief Minister. You're always one step ahead. He's already here to present the certificates. Let's show some appreciation for our 4 nominees tonight. First of all, Liam Adams. Howard McLean. Seater Sargent. And Anjali Sharma. Thank you all. Our 2025 Young Australian of the Year for the ACT, Daniel Bartholomaeus, is also here with us tonight. Can you please welcome him to the stage? You know, Daniel, I was a big fan of you on the Assembly, and I sort of feel like you should be asking me questions tonight. What a year for you. Have you enjoyed it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It has been absolutely wild, just a wild, just wizard dream, to be honest. It's just been an incredible year, and I just don't know what to say. Like, particularly when I was here last time, I didn't know what to say, so...
Although, if I remember correctly, you didn't know what to say, but you did say a lot of it, and it was great. It was enthusiastic. Did you find that winning this award last year, did it open doors for you? Did it provide you with opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely. Being the recognition from this award allowed me to go and speak at rural towns in Australia. I've been able to expand my message with allowing to show people who have disabilities or people who have challenges or people for migrant or people with any difficulties really, and being able to show what they can do. And it's just been an incredible honour to have this recognition and to expand the message.
And What advice would you give to whoever wins the award this year? I mean, obviously there's a lot of responsibility. You've got to be a spokesperson for whatever cause it is, but would you have any advice for them, Daniel?
Well, I'd say enjoy it. I mean, please enjoy having the award. Like, it is such a honour and a privilege to be recognised from this award, and I think we are so lucky in this country to have the Australian of the Year awards, as it just showcases the incredible abilities of just people who are doing incredible things in Australia.
Well said. And how awesome is Lee Sales? Huh? She's so awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Bartholomaeus. All right. Daniel, it's time to pass the baton. Could you please read out our winner of this year's ACT Young Australian of the Year?
Well, the 2026 ACT Young Australian of the Year is Sita Sarge.
Sita, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Fuck. Oh, sorry.
Is that because you just met Daniel and it's taken you... he is pretty awesome. Sita, you are also awesome, and I was doing some research on some of the stuff that you've been doing, and I heard you throughout the year talking about it. When did you first realise that there was this gaping hole in terms of how we recognise women's role in our history here in Australia?
Oh my God, sorry, I'm still a bit like, I really didn't think that my money was on Anjali, who's someone that I really admire and I think is someone who's really shaping history in such a big way. Holy shit. Okay.
Sorry for people watching around.
I'm really sorry. Yeah, well, I moved back to Canberra in 2021, and I always used to say if I ended up back in Canberra, it's because all my dreams died, which is very dramatic and not something I believe now. You know, I created new dreams. And I started engaging with Australian history for the first time in my life, and I kind of just had this moment where I went, one, this is a lot more interesting than anyone ever told me, and it explains so much of who we are as Australians today. And then I started asking that question that I think women ask all the time, which is, where are the women? And the thing that got me, and I think still gets me in a really big way, is that you don't have to look very far to find stories of women who have done incredible things. You know, like there are so many of them in this room tonight, yet they are never positioned as central characters in the story of Australia. And I just thought that said so much about who we as a nation respect. And I think if you can't respect women enough to include them in your history, like, how are you ever going to respect them today?
Was it hard to uncover all that information?
No, they're there. Just go looking a little bit. Put your women's history coloured glasses on, you'll find them. And if you don't want to do the work, come on a tour.
So you've obviously done a lot of work in this area, but I assume, Sita, there's still a lot more work to do, is there?
Oh, there's heaps. Like, this is not a Canberra issue, this is a national, and I would say global issue. And I did a big trip around Australia in 2023, and I think it just really highlighted for me the lack of respect and recognition for women's contributions across the country. And then I'm a big believer that if you pick one issue and you just focus on it, you will solve it. So I'm going to fix this problem. So there's a lot of work.
And do you think, Sita, that now that you've been recognised this way, that it will give you a louder voice out there in the community, and how are you going to use that?
Oh, God. I don't know. I've got some ideas. Watch out April Fool's Day. That's a little fun hint for all of you. If you know, you know. Yeah, we're hoping to, we're in 3 cities at the moment, and our plan is to be in 8 by the end of next year, and then to build out the systems and processes, very sexy, but I feel like Canberrans always appreciate when you say systems and processes, to be able to then scale up, hopefully globally.
Wow.
I think that we found an amazing kind of niche in women's history, and to show that people will show up. We've had almost 10,000 people come on a tour, that they'll pay for it, and that you can build out a whole kind of, I think, industry in women's history. So that's what I'm keen to do.
Wow. Remember, it all started here in the ACT, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, our 2026 ACT Young Australian of the Year, Sitter Sargent.
Thank you.
Wow. All right. The Department of Health and Aged Care is the category partner for our next award, the Senior Australian of the Year. Now, this award celebrates Australians who are aged 65 years and over, who continue to achieve and make a difference. Let's hear some more about our Senior Australian of the Year category.
The Senior Australian of the Year award is an award that really carries a lot of respect because it's a reflection of many decades of work by the recipient.
Here in Australia, we are fortunate to be the home of the oldest continuing surviving cultures in the world. This is something we should be proud of and we should celebrate.
There is no greater gift to our nation and our humanity than saving lives. To make members of our community part of the solution.
Hi, I'm Sam Ray, the Federal Minister for Aged Care and Seniors. It's a genuine pleasure to congratulate you, our 2026 state and territory finalists for Senior Australian of the Year. This is a moment of great pride. Your dedication to enriching our nation and inspiring others has been moving to witness in my time as Minister for Seniors. Your innovation, leadership and service to our community means so much to so many, and these awards give us all an opportunity to reflect on and honour your incredible contributions. The Albanese Government is proud to sponsor these awards, to recognise and celebrate the older Australians who go above and beyond. Congratulations on your nominations, and I wish you all the very best for the awards.
The Senior Australians of the Year are inspirational not only to other senior Australians, but to all Australians, and particularly to the younger generations coming through.
We need equal rights, including fundings, services, and resources, so we can work side by side and support each other. And together we can share new ideas to heal our nation. Let all stand up and work together.
Everyone who makes the wheelchairs is a volunteer. A child with a disability receives a new life by getting off the ground, having dignity as well as mobility.
The nominees for the 2026 Senior Australian of the Year in the ACT are
Calvin Bruton. Calvin Bruton is an Australian Basketball Hall of Famer who moved to Australia from the United States to build a stellar career on and off the court. Today, he's passing on his insights and knowledge to disadvantaged and at-risk young people to help them not just play basketball, but also learn the skills they need to succeed in life. Marion Lee. Marion Lee's advocacy for migrants and refugees across 5 decades has made her one of Australia's most influential and knowledgeable voices on immigration and asylum seeker policy. Marion has worked tirelessly to represent refugees navigating the complexities of Australian immigration law. Through her efforts, she's helped countless individuals and families find a new life in Australia. Heather Reid. Heather Reid is a pioneer of women's football in the Australian Capital Territory and Australia, developing pathways for players to reach the highest levels. Her leadership, vision and determination to make football accessible to everyone has opened doors for thousands of women and girls. Through mentoring, advocacy and thought leadership, Heather is a cornerstone of women's sport in Australia. Dr. Adele Stevens. Dr. Adele Stevens is committed to improving access to palliative care and advocating for people to have the right to make their own end-of-life decisions. Through her volunteer work with the Healthcare Consumers Association, she advocates for better treatment of older Canberrans in all aspects of healthcare.
That is an amazing quartet. All right, let's meet them personally. First of all, Calvin Bruton, OAM. I remember, Cal, when you used to play for the Perth Wildcats way back in the good old days, yeah? Marion Lee, AM. Heather Reid, AM. And Dr. Adele Stevens. Could you please welcome to the stage our 2025 Senior Australians of the Year for the ACT, Marilyn and Peter Ralston, OAM. Marilyn and Peter, I think being Senior Australians of the Year for the ACT agrees with you. You're both looking younger. Have you had an easy year, have you? How has it been? What's the last 12 months been like for you?
Well, first of all, we're very proud to receive this award. And we met some amazing people, some of the finest people I've ever met. Thank you for everyone who's supported us.
Yes, we've listened to some really amazing conversations, some speeches, really moving and so supportive of the change and the will to, or the motivation to improve the lives of many Australians.
So, Achilles Canberra supported us and the ABC for the great radio programs and TV coverage.
They gave us a voice to spread the story of Achilles and keep the conversations going. And conversations going in the Achilles family is really important.
builds confidence, and it creates a lot of new relationships.
Did it give you extra responsibility? I mean, you've been recognised for the work you've been doing. Obviously, there was an implication in winning the award that it would encourage you to go on and build and build and build. Did it give you extra responsibility, and how did you embrace that responsibility?
Yes, Ross. The responsibility comes from using your contacts and doing cross connections. I'll just read a few more
It also
interesting
comes from the
goals.
motivation and the energy that somebody else has.
Yeah. So I've just read a few of the interesting goals that were achieved. An Achilles athlete who lost his sight in a car accident now plants trees at Landcare with Lions Belconnen. 3 Achilles athletes were named Legends of Ginninderra Park Run for 2025. Taryn Dickens won selection in the 2026 Winter Paralympics.
Yeah.
They're examples.
Do you think you can help Ben Alexander out with his dodgy hip?
In time.
In time, yeah, exactly. It's a work in progress. Ladies and gentlemen, our 2025 Senior Australians of the Year for the ACT, Marilyn and Peter Ralston. I'm now going to get you both, or one of you, to open the envelope and reveal who our 2026 ACT Senior Australian of the Year is.
You ready?
The 2026 Senior Australian of the Year for ACT is Heather Reid.
Heather, I've had the very great privilege of knowing you for many, many, many years, and I've always been inspired by your passion. And obviously the judges have also been inspired. For those who don't know the Heather Reid story, Heather did fight for what would have been, on some days, a very lonely cause to try and lift the profile of women's football and to give it equal footing here in Australia, and look at where we are now. And a lot of that is because of you, Heather Reid. You're going to hold this together for me, aren't you?
Yeah, I will.
Good.
So, wow. I was a bit like, I think it was Sita said, my money was on Marion. I've known Marion for a long time, but also it's my mother's name, and I'm wearing my mother's rings today. My mother was my #1 fan, and yeah, it's emotional for me. It's been probably nearly 5 decades of fighting a fight that's been worth it when I look back on where we are now with women's sport and women's football in particular. I also want to congratulate Cal and Adele and Marion on their nominations and all the finalists today. What an amazing group of people. I'll just share a little story. I was working at the ANU in 1978, and I joined this little competition called the Purple Shin, appropriately, and I helped form the ANU Women's Soccer Club, which is now it's the longest standing women's only football club in Australia. I then went on to help form the ACT Women's Soccer Association in 1979, and friends of mine said to me in 1979, oh, there's this game in Sydney between Australia and New Zealand, we should go and watch it. And so we travelled in the car, the little Corolla, up the highway to Sydney to watch Australia versus New Zealand in the very first international game. and I was hooked. I could never have imagined that that particular game would have set me on a journey of dedication, passion, commitment, resilience, hard work, courage, all of the things that came over the next almost 50 years, as I said, to build opportunities and build a pathway for girls and women to play what is still very much a men's game in this country. And you know, Ross, it's a brutal game if you're a leader. I was trying to recall a word when I spoke to Ross outside about how, yes, I might have been an influencer and a troublemaker, but because I'm now Senior Australian of the Year for the ACT, funded by Housing and Health and Aged Caring, the word came to me while I was sitting there, and I actually wrote it on my hand, Ross, so I would remember. Disruptor. I've been a disruptor. And I'm a very proud disruptor, because you have to disrupt the status quo, you have to disrupt the gender politics in sport, and we still have a long way to go. My dream is to see Canberra United get its own true investor, someone with deep pockets who can keep this phenomenal club going in the ACT.
You know, in live radio we have a 10-second delay so that if somebody swears or misbehaves on the radio, we can dump it so it doesn't go to air. Whenever I have Heather on the show, I'm always hovering over the button because she is a disruptor, and I don't know what's going to happen next. Heather, how did you feel a couple of years ago when we hosted the Women's World Cup and the Matildas? Everybody loved the Matildas. You know, you couldn't get a ticket for the games. The pubs were all sold out. People were just, you know, wherever they could go to. I mean, that must have, if you wind the clock back to 1979, to be there.
Yeah. Well, during the 1980s, I was employed by Australian Women's Soccer as the first female national executive director. I had a typewriter, a landline phone, and a fax machine. And, you know, those were the days where, you know, you had quiet moments without internet and social media. Two things that I was really involved in on a world advocacy level was to get a World Cup for women and to get women's football in the Olympic Games. And I've often said that one of my greatest memories was being at Canberra Stadium in 2000, the day before the opening ceremony of the Sydney Olympics, when Canberra hosted Australia versus Germany, the very first event, as I said, the day before the opening ceremony, and I was there with my mother, my number one fan, and that was a crowning glory for me. But I never would have imagined that Australia would host a World Cup, and we had it in our own backyard in 2023. It was phenomenal. I went to as many games as possible with my partner Pam and others, and we can now look at the merchandise sales, the ticket sales, the broadcast rights. They're all through the roof. They're all absolutely skyrocketing, and where the women's game is now compared to where it was even 20 years ago, when I made a statement to the Canberra Chronicle that women's football will be the number one sport in this country and we will have a national televised league. We can now look back and say it is the number one sport for women and girls in this country. We have a national televised league, and that's not on free to air. But all of these achievements, and it was, I would say, goosebump moments or pinch me moments that I will never forget. And such proud moments. I've been to 7 out of 9 Women's World Cups, and I intend to be in Brazil in 2027 for the next World Cup. And I'm just going to let the Green and Gold Army organise everything for me. I'm done with organising travel and accommodation for other people. But it was a phenomenal moment, and we're just going from strength to strength.
And a lot of that, Heather Reid, is because of the advocacy and the hard work you've done. Ladies and gentlemen, our 2026 ACT Senior Australian of the Year, Heather Reid. All right, our final category this evening is, of course, the Australian of the Year, and this celebrates the achievements and contributions of eminent Australians who are role models for us all. In the ACT and nationally, we've had some dynamic past recipients from such different sectors and backgrounds. Let's remind ourselves of some of them.
I think we can all really aspire to be like the Australians of the Year. The Australians of the Year really help to shape our nation as we move into the future, which is why we should be so grateful for their ongoing work.
We have to have greater representation of people with a disability absolutely everywhere. In our boardrooms, in our parliaments, in our mainstream schools, on our dating apps, on our sporting fields, in our universities, absolutely everywhere.
If I can make a difference to someone else's life, if they can draw some strength by hearing what I say and knowing that I'm speaking on their behalf, it gives me a lot of hope.
There's a temptation to take the easy route. I think that life will be better if we mould it to make it as comfortable as possible.
Time is short, get amongst it and take your kids with you. When you look back at the amazing list of Australians of the Year over the last 60 plus years, it's an extraordinary group of people. Musicians, athletes, scientists, Aboriginal leaders, advocates, environmentalists, rescuers. It's an amazing list of incredible Australians.
Our mission is 0 deaths from melanoma. To reach it, in addition to prevention, we need a targeted screening program and greater investment in research. This must be a national health priority.
Beyond melanoma and into the broader cancer field, more courage is needed to push treatment boundaries, backed by science, for the benefit of all cancer patients.
If people truly understood the challenges we face, they'd join the fight with me. And you have. Together, we have built a movement.
For the final time tonight, the nominees for the 2026 Australian of the Year in the ACT are
Lauren Cannell. Lauren Cannell founded Educación Diversa and Artfulness to promote human rights, conflict resolution and mental well-being. She serves on Build Like a Girl's board and advises Women with Disabilities ACT. Lauren initiated the Period Poverty, Period Dignity initiative, advocating for the Australian Capital Territory to provide free period products. A tireless changemaker and humanitarian, Lauren is dedicated to uplifting others. Sarah McGorham. Sarah McGorham was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer at a young age and found support was limited. Sarah used her experience to campaign for greater access to information, treatment options and support. She successfully campaigned to secure access to a life-saving cancer treatment and is a powerful voice advocating on behalf of others living with a rare cancer. Professor Rose McCready. Professor Rose McCready has spent 3 decades delivering life-saving medical services to displaced people in the Thai-Myanmar border region. Given the region's limited health services, the work of Rose and her team has been vital in saving thousands of lives. Rose's research into maternal malaria treatment is also now regarded as the world standard for combating the disease. Karen Schlage. Karen Schlage is a powerful voice for a more compassionate approach to how health systems treat families experiencing pregnancy loss. Due to her advocacy, the Australian Capital Territory Government opened a dedicated early pregnancy loss unit at the Centenary Hospital for Women and Children to better support families. Karen's commitment is driving genuine change to maternity care across Australia.
All right, let's meet each of them as they receive their certificates from the Chief Minister. First of all, Lauren Cannell. Sarah Magoram OAM. Professor Rose McGreedy. And Karen Schlage. Our 2025 ACT Australian of the Year was an incredibly inspiring person who did us all proud. Can you please make welcome back to the stage Megan Gilmore. Megan, I remember this time last year and you were so ambitious about what you were going to do and how you were going to make this work in your favour. Tell me about the last year for you.
Ross, it's been a really big year and the kind of year that really shifted my view of our country, but surprisingly to me, deepened my connection. I've stood on stages, I've done the media rounds, recently met with the Governor-General, but most of my year has been spent in deep conversations with parents and our school communities and community partners doing the work that brought me here to solve for the 1.65 million students who are not connected to school today. This is an issue that in the last year has become worse, not better. And so somewhere in between all of that, my mission has expanded. But it's not about me tonight. And I want to say that behind my award are Australian kids every day who are getting up and trying to do the impossible. And they've been my compass for this year. And with this award and all that I've said there has come a lot of reflection for me. And the realisation, and I'm tag teaming with John here, that these awards are actually a window into who we are as a nation. We celebrate the Australians of the Year, and we reveal through our Australians of the Year our strengths and summon our courage for the change that we know that we need to make and shape who we become. And if this is any indication of the litmus test of who we become as a nation, we're in good hands. And we have every cause to have optimism in a time in our world when we really need optimism. So that's your gift, whether you're a nominee, whether you're an awardee, or whether you're watching from wherever you are. Ross, it continues to be extraordinary. And tonight we get to see that next chapter of who we become.
Megan, congratulations. Would you like to tell us, Megan Gilmore, who is the 2026 ACT Australian of the Year?
It's a great honour for me to tell you who the 2026 ACT Australian of the Year is. Professor Rose McGreedy.
last week I got the incredible privilege of meeting all our finalists for the ACT Australian of the Year, and at the end of it we sat down as a program and we said, well, who's going to be the Australian of the Year? And we thought any one of these four could easily be the Australian of the Year, and we would be so proud of them. The only person I had to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to talk to was Rose McGreedy, because she was busy on the Thai Myanmar border saving lives, and at the end of that conversation I thought, wow, this is dedication. And Rose, here you are, you're our ACT Australian of the Year. Congratulations. So, what does this mean for you? I mean, you have devoted so much of your life to this. It's thankless work. It's dangerous work. You told me that. It's every day is a dangerous situation to be in, but you keep on doing it. Why?
Didn't think I'd get asked that. So I went for 6 months, and it's more than 30 years. The brave Karen and Burmese women got me here, as did the mystery nominator, who has far more confidence in this story. I mean, I really thought I had Buckley's tonight. But I came because if anything happened, it's really for those women and children and families on the border that are living through another coup in Myanmar. And this last one's particularly brutal. In May this year, 3rd of May, you had an election, a democratic election. There was a winner and a loser, and democracy prevailed. In 2021 in Myanmar, the military didn't like the result, and it turned into one of the most brutal periods in the history of Myanmar. The UN are calling it a invisible war, really. So we have last 4 years a huge influx at the border, and I'm so surprised that these awards come to Australia infrequently, and it's a privilege to be here and hear the number of people working on different migrant issues. I thought I'm alone. I'm not. It's wonderful. It's really inspiring to come and hear that. To all the nominees, really gobsmacking.
Just for those who aren't familiar, Rose, give us a little bit of a background of what sort of services are you providing for women from Myanmar especially?
So we're a hybrid organisation. We do humanitarian work and research. The reason, if you have malaria today in Canberra Hospital, you'll get a treatment that was largely pioneered by our work on the border. And our work is done by 99% of our organisation is local people. Because health is broken in Myanmar, so is education. If we can find someone who got to year 10, then we can do nearly anything. They can be midwives, sonographers, lab technicians, nurses. So our services provide very basic, but life-saving delivery, antenatal care, TB, a lot of work on TB because that's the biggest killer globally. Malaria we got under control, but the coup's brought it back, so the last 4 years has been trying to maintain, not to let it get out of control. And we are working with people who cannot read and write, but they can mobilise community, they can get the 13, 14-year-olds in for family planning. Broad, simple, basic healthcare.
And Rose, when I spoke to you, you told me that you were thinking about retirement. I guess you can't now, can you, obviously?
USAID has had significant impact in any of the humanitarian groups. So we will be letting people go next year unless something different happens, because the Global Fund, the money that helps TB and malaria, is also, it's gone. So this has this award, maybe it helps us maintain the minimum service that we can provide.
You are an incredible recipient of our ACT Australian of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Rose McCreevy.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Now, could you please welcome to the stage Mr David Smith MP, the member for Bean, who is representing tonight the Assistant Minister, Patrick Gorman. Ladies and gentlemen, David Smith.
Thanks, Ross. I begin by acknowledging the Ngunnawal people, the traditional owners of the land on which we gather tonight, and pay my respects to elders past and present. I also extend that respect to any First Nations people joining us this evening, and reflect that all the extraordinary stories we've heard tonight are connected to Ngunnawal land. Good evening, everyone. It's a privilege to join you here at the ACT Australian of the Year Awards, representing Assistant Minister Patrick Gorman MP, Chief Minister, distinguished guests, which covers basically everyone in the room. I also want to acknowledge the National Australia Day Council, tonight's nominees, past recipients, and all those who make these awards possible. Thank you for the work that you do to celebrate the very best of our nation. It truly has been an extraordinary evening. These awards tell the story not just of Canberra, but of Australia, not through statistics or reports, but through people. They remind us that the strength of our nation and of Canberra lies in compassion, courage, and the willingness to give more than we take. And tonight we celebrate those who inspire us to be better Australians, to build better communities, and who make the ACT proud every day. Looking ahead, we look forward to welcoming all state and territory recipients to Canberra in January for a wonderful program of events. This includes a welcome event for nominees and guests, the Australian of the Year lunch at Parliament House, and the National Awards ceremony on the 25th of January, where the 2026 Australian of the Year will be announced. And of course, the Australia Day citizenship ceremony, where new Australians will join us alongside the national winners, the Prime Minister and the Governor-General. Again, a particular congratulations to Ben, Sita, Heather and Rose. Tonight we celebrate Canberrans and Australians to remind that pride in this country is not boastful, it's hopeful. Hopeful for what we can contribute to each other and to the world. Congratulations to all nominees, to the award winners, and thank you all for continuing to inspire us.
Thank you very much, David Smith. Okay, I am in so much trouble because I've run well and truly over time. I was told, Ross, you have one job tonight and that is to finish on time, and I haven't even been able to do that. So obviously somebody was talking too much tonight. I have no idea who that was. So what is next for our 4 recipients? Well, they now become nominees from the ACT for the National Award, and in January they'll come together with all the other state and territory recipients from around the nation as the Prime Minister announces the national awardees. We obviously couldn't be prouder tonight of our incredible recipients, and we do wish you every success on the national stage. None of this tonight would have happened without the support of federal, state and territory governments, as well as some dedicated sponsors who we'd like to acknowledge now. We've already heard from our category partners, the Departments of Health and Aged Care, Home Affairs and the Australian Government Office for Youth. We acknowledge our broadcast partner, the incredible ABC. Thank you, yes. I feel that that's appropriate. Thank you to our media partner, Australian Community Media, who reach rural, regional and remote audiences around the country. Thanks goes to our accommodation partner, the Crown Plaza here in Canberra, and to our cultural partner, the Australian National University, who produced those amazing trophies. Thanks also to exhibition partner, the National Museum of Australia, and our legal partner, Minter Ellison. Please join me in thanking them all. And to all our 2026 nominees, look, please do remember that someone in your community thinks you're amazing, and I think everyone in this room who's heard your stories tonight has been inspired, and maybe you will prompt somebody here to go out after tonight and just go that little bit harder to try and make our place just that little bit better. It took time for people to send in a nomination, and just being here shows that it doesn't go unnoticed. So please keep going. I know you will. You don't need me to tell you that. I know how passionate you all are. To everyone watching and listening, get involved and nominate someone who inspires you at australianoftheyear.org.au, and you can follow the nominate button, and nominations are open year-round. Don't forget to tune into the national announcement live on the ABC. It'll be the evening before Australia Day, and just like tonight, it truly is a beautiful and inspirational event. I would like to just finish by inviting all our four winners up to the stage for a group photograph. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much and have a great evening.